Hello, Squirrel Tribe. It is the day after Hurricane Helene made landfall, and I just want to say so far I have heard that 3 people have lost their lives due to the hurricane. It did hit land as a Category 4, and then it changed into a tropical storm within like 12 hours. Where I am, we decided to evacuate. We're in New Orleans. We evacuated to New Orleans. It got windy yesterday, but nothing crazy here. Back home where we would have been, it didn't get the brunt of the storm, thankfully, but there were still power outages and flooding and things like that along the Panhandle coast. But I know Tampa got Tampa got a lot of rain. There was a lot of issues on the bridges of people trying to get out, but Clearwater looks like something from, I don't even know what kind of film to describe. Everything seemed to be on fire and underwater at the same time. It looked absolutely horrific for Clearwater. So I can't even imagine how bad Tallahassee actually looks where the eye of the storm hit. Our family in Georgia, thankfully, is perfectly fine. There's flooding in Georgia itself. Northeast, northwest Atlanta had a lot of flooding, but our family was safe. No power loss, no flooding. So I'm thankful for that. Hopefully everybody here was safe and able to withstand the storm and no issues with loss of life, loss of pets, loss of home, loss of cars, loss of anything like that. Now, I forgot to mention to you guys yesterday about here in New Orleans exactly how far I feel. Okay, so the problem here is that if you look back over the last 16 years, out of those 16 years, 4 of them were under Republicans, the rest were under Democrats. And I think that having that much Democrat power that long has really taken a negative toll on our country, because I was thinking about it when I was younger, and this is going to be a little weird, not off topic, but when I was younger, you would see that there were, strip clubs, nudie bars. You would see that there were those places you could go in and they had individual rooms, and as a adult you could go in and view movies of certain sorts and do whatever you do in those kind of rooms, right? But everything was kept behind closed doors, behind curtains, behind everything else. And it seems that the farther along we get, the more all of that is put out front. And now what's kept behind closed doors and behind curtains are the conservative people. Conservatives are shunned like they are doing something wrong for dressing modestly, especially like Amish, like anything that is not considered out there and in your face and derogatory seems to be the taboo stuff now. Whereas being just completely almost naked, walking around, showing all of your goodies, ladies, and even fellas, walking around like that and doing all kinds of who knows what out in public seems to be the norm. And if you're not like that, then you're considered a prude, you're too conservative, obviously you're a Republican, things like that. So yesterday, walking through New Orleans, we didn't go out at night because I was like, listen, I want to see stuff during the day. Even I am not comfortable walking around at night because I have heard a lot of things about New Orleans and how unsafe it is. A lot of y'all in comments said, do not go out after 10 o'clock. Always take your husband with you. Have some sort of protection. Don't let your daughter go anywhere by herself, which she's 15. And even now I'm like, I have to go to the restroom. You're going with me. You have to go to the restroom. I'm going with you. That we don't separate for stuff like that because anything can happen to her. She's still a child and she's my child, and I will not let anything happen to her, right? So we're in New Orleans yesterday. And we're walking, and I don't know I think it was on Bourbon Street, maybe it was Canal, I'm not quite sure. But there was a Halloween store, and my daughter loves Halloween decorations. So we go into this Halloween store, all right? We go into the Halloween store, and the whole entrance into this Halloween store, it's like a tight entrance, but both sides of it are covered in Halloween decorations, whether it's masks or things you can like put up, like stickers and stuff like that. And then you turn the corner. When you get to the end of this little walkway, there's the counter, and there's a man that works there standing there, and he sees us. And my daughter doesn't look young, but she also doesn't look older, right? She clearly, to me, is a 15 or 16-year-old. I would not think she was grown. So we're walking in, and the man behind the counter says nothing. We turn to the right, and there's tons of Halloween masks and stuff like that. And then there's a whole section to a store, right? Like you go up that walkway, you turn right, and there's this whole section, and you can tell there's another opening right back here, but you can't really tell what's in there. So we get in, and we're looking at, they have a ton of costumes. They have Donald Trump and Melania Trump faces, and I told my husband, I said, babe, that would be great. You should get a Donald Trump. I'll get Melania. We'll make a video together. It'll be amazing. We didn't do it, though, because I was like, people might not think that it's cute or whatever, but I thought it would be fun to, anyway. So we're in there looking at the costumes and everything else, and I noticed that there's, the stockings and stuff like that, and I'm thinking for Halloween costumes, there's a lot of fishnet and things like that. And then I noticed that they have the nipple tape, like the covers, and I'm like, okay, well, that's weird for a Halloween store, but okay. And then I noticed that there are lingerie style outfits, and I'm like, also weird for a Halloween store. My daughter walks past me and she looks to the right before I get there, and it's an entire room of male appendages for your pleasure. An entire room of y'all know exactly what I'm trying to say, but I don't know how to talk about it on YouTube without getting completely slapped on the wrist. So it was everything you would expect to see in an adult novelty store. And it's there in a Halloween store with no warning, no signs, nothing that lets you know before you go in that that's what you're going to see. And that's what I was thinking about last night. And I forgot to mention to you guys that it feels like the things that used to be considered 18 and over, 21 and over, not for young eyes, have all just been thrust into, that's a weird, weird term to use while talking about this kind of stuff, has been pushed, shoved, all of it is a wrong word, has been brought into the daylight. There we go, has been brought into the daylight, and it's right there in front of your eyes, as opposed to keeping our children innocent. Like, what if there had been a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, especially a little girl? I mean, little boys know what a male appendage looks like, but most little girls at that age should not. So to walk in there and it's a whole wall of them. Thankfully, my daughter is 15. We've had the talk, we've had the everything. We've looked at what everything looks like. I've explained to her what everything does, because it's better to know than not know. Be curious and find out than to know ahead of time, so that when you get curious, you're like, nope, I've already figured this out. We're good, right? So we've had the talk about absolutely everything. So the fact that now you have in Seattle, literally in Seattle, there's a video of a man walking around with his whole entire everything just out and flopping around while he walks like it's nothing. You have bike parades, naked bike parades in certain cities. I don't remember what city that was. There's a naked bike parade. Remember during Gay Pride, they had in San Francisco, people were just butt-ass naked, just hanging around. They had fetish zones, fetish pools where people could pee on each other. Like, why? And there's kids on the street looking at it. There's nothing stopping anybody. People in their homes are able to look out on the streets and see what's going on. We have become such a morally corrupt nation under this Democrat rule that it's literally disturbing. When people go, I don't know how people are still having kids, I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, economy wise, yeah, it's really hard to have kids these days. It's very expensive, but it's hard to, take care of ourselves too because of the price of stuff. But that's not what they mean. I'm convinced that what they mean is people having kids these days don't understand that they're bringing them into this corruptness that has just perversed its way into the United States of America, thanks to the people in power who have no relation with religion or with modesty or with decency, because it's the only way I can look at this. Even if you're not a religious person, let's say you don't believe in the Bible, you don't believe in any of that kind of stuff, wouldn't you still believe in some form, some sense of decorum, some sense of self-modesty, some sense of, I don't even know the other words to throw in here. I wish I was a better dictionary, but I'm not. It's just crazy to me looking at the downfall of society at the end of the day, especially when it comes to children. We talked yesterday about the trans person that was on the trolley. It's crazy to me that this is where we are. But the problem is you have these people in power who see nothing wrong with the destruction of America. And the reason I say that is because, look, here is, let's see if I can show you this. We talked about this a few weeks ago, how Mexico and the United States are working together to bus illegal immigrants into the United States because it makes it easier on the Mexican government to have these people that are going through their country to just get them out faster. So they are busing them in. In Mexico, they said they're going to give them food and water to make it easier for them. They're providing meals on these buses, and these buses are crossing our border like it's not illegal. And it is. These people are not coming in legally. They're being bussed in, and that is what is happening with our current administration. This is video and document proof that we're paying for our own invasion because our tax dollars are going towards this. Another bus load out here, bus 119. This is the Catholic Charities NGO. Biden said the border crisis was over. Look at all of these busload after busload. Now, this is the Catholic Charities NGO. Revenue has quadrupled since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration took over. It went from $44 million in monies, revenues, whatever, to $217 million. And there's documented proof of such. I'm going to put a link to this in the pinned comment so you guys can see this. This is their what, 1099 W-2 return of organization exempt from income tax. $217,705,001, which I don't even know how to say that out loud. That is a lot of money. And this is so they can bring in these illegal immigrants, give them food, give them housing, give them everything else. You can't continue to bus in people, continue to let people break the law to get in our country illegally, and expect the rest of our country to run on its own laws and constitution and everything else, right? When you are clearly, as the president and vice president, the vice president who's trying to be president, who's even far more left-leaning and liberal and whatever than even Joe Biden is, you can't expect our country to run correctly when you have people like that in power. So when you walk down the street and you see a person naked walking on the street and the police do nothing, you walk down the street and you see a bunch of, twig and berries and whatever tacos out, you have to understand it's because our government is allowing it. So why would the city police stop it when the president and the vice president tell you it's perfectly fine? There's nothing wrong with it. The people who are doing these things aren't criminals. If people crossing our border illegally, which is illegal, it's called illegal immigrants for a reason, are criminal, then you can't say that the people walking around naked, which is technically against the law, are criminal. You can't have one or the other, right? And so you have people getting away with almost everything. Now this here was crazy to me. So if I can get this link to pull up, I have very slow internet right now. Y'all, my internet's just like it's not doing anything. It's just kind of chilling. So I want to show you this, but if it doesn't want to load, that's not going to work. Anyway, let's pull up this next one instead. No? Please hold while I fix this. All right, I got it. This is what I want to show you. This has everything to do with all of these illegal immigrants coming into our country, with our government and everybody else letting this debauchery just out in the streets, out in the open, like it's nothing. This is extremely important, and I want you guys to hear what this man has to say. This is an FBI whistleblower urging Americans to vote, number one, arm themselves, stock up 3 to 4 months of food supplies, and to pray. I want you to hear this.
And everybody in the minority party, they're fearing what Donald Trump would do in the next administration, while they sit here and they look at the guy who's been persecuted by the FBI. And everybody in the room understands it. Mr. Allen, do you have comments you wish to make? I give you about a minute and a half, and then I want to turn the rest of my time to Mr. Jordan.
Yes, sir. I would just say that I consider the hearing today my last act of service as a public servant for the United States of America. And I'll give you my professional opinion. I was an intel professional for our country for many years, and I would give recommendations, and I'd also look at indications and warnings. So I would offer this to the American people as my warning to them. Since this is a warning to the American people, I say, I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I have been persecuted along with Garrett, Steve and Kyle, and countless other whistleblowers. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. It has been a seemingly effective tactic. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in. Their ability to overclassify information can allow them to stonewall forever. To the American people, you have a duty as a citizen to vote, and I strongly urge you to do so. It's how you participate in the American experience. I know people have doubts about election integrity, but you must vote. It is your claim. Stake your claim and don't forfeit it willingly. Have your voice heard. My other recommendations are in the natural order. First, vote. The second is the Second Amendment. Arm yourself and know how to defend yourself. Make 3 to 4 friends in your neighborhood and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. And during the Great Depression, people stocked up a pantry. So I think that's a good practice, especially in our economic times. Mm-hmm. And make sure you have 3 to 4 months of food. And as a person of faith, I'd say pray the rosary. Go to the First Friday devotions. That's for everybody, all my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I know I'm Catholic. And read the gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live it every day. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for the time.
That to me is very powerful. When you have somebody who is trying to get the truth out there of what is going on in our government, in our country, what they're doing to Donald Trump, what they are trying to hide from everybody. And the man is being persecuted for speaking the truth, just like numerous other whistleblowers have been in the past, or they've been unalived. I think you have to listen, right? And when this man says, make sure that you are paying attention to your Second Amendment, I say you have to do that for sure. Now, this last one here, and then we're all done. I just want to bring this to your attention. This is from Laura Loomer, who I follow her religiously on X. She is a very smart woman. She says, Congress is off for another long vacation. Side note, in case everybody wasn't aware, Congress, they're done. They're sitting back, kicking their heels up, whatever. Yesterday was their last official working day until after, y'all, the 2024 presidential election. They don't return until November 13th. Just wanted to remind you all how lazy our lawmakers are. They have no interest in doing anything they promised to do. It was all political theater. It's over. So nothing will happen between now and November 13th, whether it's good or it's bad, because Congress has taken a seat. They are doing absolutely nothing. Pretty much they can all run wild right now. So this is something to keep in mind as we see what's happening and what's unfolding in our country every single day. Just keep in mind that there is nobody in Congress, nobody to pass a law, nobody to stop anything, Joe Biden's pushing this whole, we have to stop the war in Israel. That's not going to happen with them all asleep at the wheel. And then, Ukraine, they got all their money before Congress went on break. Ukraine got more billions of dollars. So at least Joe Biden was able to continue that on. But this is all important stuff to pay attention to. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the destruction, or the aftermath, I guess is the right words, of Hurricane Helene. I'll bring you guys a little bit on that. But this is just random stuff that I think you guys needed to know. Again, hopefully everybody is safe from yesterday's storms. They are predicting that there will be another hurricane, October 6th, 7th, 8th, that time frame, that area. So we'll be looking into that as well. And until tomorrow, I hope y'all have a fabulous Friday. Try to de-stress in any way possible. Remember to tell your loved ones you love them. And remember to try to avoid naked people walking down the street. Okay, I love you. Bye.